Next up, we've got Everly Jazzy. Okay.
Hi, thanks for that. I'm Everly Jazi, and I'll hold off on introducing myself because I'm about to tell you some of my story. And after this, I'll share how I started a campus RX program at my university and some strategies that might help some of you who are thinking about doing this as well. Next slide. I grew up in Dayton, Ohio, where I first fell in love with the outdoors biking with my dad along a rail trail behind my house, 3 miles to Dairy Queen often. And the trees and the grasses alongside the path were my nature. Now, next slide. Now, when I study nature and all of its meanings and um, all of the differences of what encompasses nature, I think about that bike trail and how one's access and perception of what nature is has many different forms depending on where you grew up, which region of the world you live in, the access to different flora and elements like mountains, bodies of water, and more. Next slide. And then when I went to university in Washington, D.C., I was exposed to a rich tree canopy of the wealthiest quadrant of the city and access to nearby public lands. And I learned about a hiking club very similar to a campus nature arcs program at my school. I had not gone to I had not gone on many hikes prior, and it became evident that on my first hike with the club, the parks of the National Capital Region are really like true hiking trails, and I needed more experience. Next slide. Even though the entire group that I went with on my first hike had to abandon the hike solely because of my lack of proper shoes and my nervousness about ice on the trail, I was really hooked. I started going on other walks and hikes and even became an outdoor ropes course facilitator at my university. Next slide. And then happen chance, I became president of an outdoor club at my university, the Jane Goodall Roots and Shoots Club. With that opportunity, I was able to take others hiking and also camping for the first time, and it felt good to show others the joys of spending time in natural areas. Next slide. For the same reason, I became a park ranger in Wyoming and Alaska just 1 year after camping for the first time in my life. And I also kept going with my own personal love for the outdoors. So I went on a backpacking trip, 1,300 miles of the Pacific Crest Trail. And I wanted to share my story, and I know we all have one, because it shows a perspective of the field that I don't often hear. I didn't grow up skiing in the winters and sitting by a lake in the summers, but I, like all of us that have been shown to, still prefer natural areas and the outdoors. And I have this innate preference for natural spaces, and my life has been changed because of my connection to nature. So it started from childhood, but it progressed with a campus nature program. And I wanted to share this story because I don't go to many conferences with other practitioners or those doing more applied work in the field. And I wanted to validate the work that all of you are doing as well. Next slide. My journey wasn't easy, but with these programs and the grace and patience of all of the more experienced hikers and people who showed up along the way, I was able to overcome barriers where I could have gotten lost or left out. And then when I started my master's on nature and health in Ohio State, I wanted to do more than just research. I wanted to make an applied difference like the time when I was a park ranger and outdoor educator, I had heard of Nature RX and wanted to start a campus RX program at Ohio State. So I wanted to reach out to students and especially students outside of my environmental focus department and students who have faced barriers and exclusion or constraints in outdoor recreation and in their personal experiences with natural space, maybe those who hold stigmas about or traumas around the outdoors. Next slide. So not knowing where to start, I emailed the president of my university with my plan, and then I was able to receive some response from the Office of Student Life, and I met with the representatives there to share my ideas and like possible tiers of involvement. And then after a few follow-up emails, I was able to meet with a whole wellness panel with Student Life, the counseling office, student health, and others to present my proposed program. And though everyone was on board, it was difficult to move forward just by myself without this program being on anyone's top priorities list and without the direct support or funding from the university. So in the end, I had to graduate from my program and leave things unfinished, and I never was able to hold a proper series or offering. So I wanted to share some strategies that I learned in my process. So hopefully anyone here who wants to start a campus Nature RX program can overcome these barriers. And hopefully we can also start a dialogue in the chat of any ways that other individuals have overcome any hoops that they've encountered in creating their program. So I have 3 to share. Next slide. So the first is partnering with someone who is in charge of campus priorities and university resources. This was really helpful for me to meet with the Office of Student Life and to transcend just one grad student trying to create a project to a network of heads of offices. And it was also helpful to see who at the university was interested in form a working group. So students, professors, staff members, others in kinesiology, psychology, epidemiology, landscape architecture, sociology, environmental and natural resources might be a few that you seek out. And then once I formed a working group, although we never properly met, we were able to have like an online platform where we communicated together and we shared other resources that each other had and then strategize. And then also importantly is considering equity and underrepresented groups. So research has shown that those of low socioeconomic status with education or income and perhaps other marginalized communities experience significant benefits in nature once actually recreating in the outdoors. So research from authors that are actually in attendance here have also shown that there are significant benefits for university students who have not already had intentional experiences with quality natural space for psychological or health purposes, and also reaching more than just a nature-focused student population, those who are already like in environmental studies or plugged into arboretums or campus farms should be a focus of all nature campus RX programs. So it is also necessary to think about actually like hiring or funding those who are skilled in creating inclusive outdoor spaces to form these programs in a manner that will reduce barriers to outdoor recreation and any like systemic, like discriminatory or institutional exclusionary practices, culture-based stigmas, and any concerns or like intrapersonal needs that individuals have, like the right gear, experience, me when I had the hesitations of walking on icy trails with a drop into class 5 or 6 whitewater. So also like offering beginner offerings or touch points to build up to those trips as well. Next slide. So I'm really passionate about this just because I think just like access to higher education can facilitate some financial and social mobility, I think experiences and immersion in nature can also provide healing to those who might have disparities in their connections to um, less accessible natural spaces and outdoor education. Making outdoor spaces and around college campuses more available and equitable with a variety of programs like including walks, but also like sedentary and other kinds of activities for all abilities, and spreading awareness of the importance of nature connection and prioritizing within the bureaucracy of academia this program and the outdoors can just help students who, like me, can enjoy and heal with nature and perhaps rethink their entire life stories. Thanks.